It's a Froggy Show! Hynes Beach is a small seaside village surrounded by national parks. The village boasts a 2 kilometre beach that, according to the Guinness Book of Records, has the world's whitest sand. Murray's Beach is said to be a place you only go to if you're keen. It's not particularly isolated, but it is at the very end of Beechcroft Peninsula. It is accessed by a narrow and rough gravel road, and you have to walk for a little while from the parking area to get there, but it's well worth the few extra steps. The sand is white, and the footprints are most likely going to be your own. And you can have a close look at Bowen Island. Standing on Murray's Beach, it's quite easy to imagine yourself in a pirate movie. Bowen Island is off limits to visitors, due to it being the home and breeding ground of the local Jervis Bay fairy penguin population. The Cape St George Lighthouse was doomed from its very inception, a result of official bungling and lack of supervision. Its light lasted for less than 40 years, after which it was unceremoniously destroyed. Recommended in 1856, controversy surrounded this light before construction had even begun, and completed in 1860. Decisions on the need for a light and its location were made without even consulting the Pilots Board, the controlling authority, about the efficiency of a light at that location. The problem was that the light was not visible from the northern approach of Jervis Bay and would be barely visible from the southern approach. Furthermore, the original map and markings of the proposed lighthouse location were so inaccurate that later there were doubts as to whether the light had been erected on the selected site. On top of this inaccuracy, the contractor seems to have built the light closer to the quarry he was obtaining the stone from. In fact, when inspected by members of the Pilots Board, it was found to be 2.5 miles north of the intended site. A select committee was established by the New South Wales Government to investigate the errors in locating the lighthouse. Even with the light in operation from 1864 to 1893, there were 23 ships wrecked on the south coast of New South Wales in the vicinity of Jervis Bay. The light was eventually replaced in 1889 by a new lighthouse at the Point Perpendicular location, a much more suitable place for a lighthouse on this part of the coast. The lantern was removed and later used in another light. After the commissioning of the new light, there was still confusion by having two towers in close proximity to one another. Not only was it causing confusion to mariners during the daylight, there was a problem on a full moon, and also at other times when the moon was at the right angle behind the tower, sandstone tower to glow on the horizon. As a result, the Cape St George Tower was dropped to the ground by an explosive charge. And also it was used from 1917 to 1922 for target practice by the Australian Navy. The lighthouse staff and their families also were affected by tragedy. In 1865, Edward Bailey, the chief lighthouse keeper, was fishing about 3 kilometres south of the lighthouse with his 2 sons when he was washed off the rocks and drowned, leaving a large family of 11 children. Edward, a strong swimmer, was heading for the shore when he disappeared beneath the wave. The boys had earlier noticed there were large sharks swimming close by, and it was thought that he might have been taken by one. His son Arthur took over his father's position and continued to raise his brothers and sisters. Harriet Parker, daughter of the second lighthouse keeper, was accidentally shot dead in 1887 by Kate Gibson, the head keeper's daughter. There are also reports of 2 other deaths at the lighthouse during its 40 years of service. One as a result of being kicked by a horse and not able to get to hospital fast enough.